It's casual, not formal. It's hosted by Rory, Penland, and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
Hello and welcome to It's Casual, our talk show that Renee Yaworsky and I do. Where is Renee Yaworsky?
Oh, I was just here with my Orchid Times mug.
There
Just
she is.
imagine that. Great timing.
And I'm here with my Sam's Club water.
Let's not. Are they sponsoring our show now? Maybe Sam's Club can sponsor our show. That'd be
We
great.
should talk to them.
Let's
Say,
find
hey,
out.
come on now.
Do you like their water? Do they have a good product?
Actually, yeah, it's my favorite water.
What do you like about it? This is intriguing.
It just tastes very clean and clear. And I am very particular about my water. I can drink Dasani. I don't like other brands. I don't like cheap water because it just tastes different to me.
Yeah.
And it tastes like it's got chemicals in it. And I just, again, I've just always been really. Here's the thing.
This is fast.
This water is not only clean and clear tasting, but you get 20 ounces in a bottle. So it's perfect for when I mix my lemonade drinks and my teas and my peach teas and stuff. It's the perfect size. So the others only get 16 ounces. And again, they, some of them taste, I don't know, not right.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to tag Sam's Club in this clip. And Sam's Club, if you want to sponsor this show, that was the best advertisement I've ever seen for water. I want to drink it now. I feel like I need to go to Sam's Club.
You should try it. It's good water. So
fantastic, awesome. All right, everybody. That I wouldn't have guessed. Dasani puts some salt in it, some trace.
They put a lot of salt in their water.
They do. They put some trace minerals. Makes you keep coming back for more. That's what Dasani.
Yeah. So again, I drink Dasani sometimes, but most of the time, I'm going to Walmart and I'm getting this particular water by the the crate.
You can get Sam's Club water at Walmart.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought Sam's Club was its own thing. Okay. All right.
No, well, they're run by the same company. The Waltons run both companies.
Okay. Well, it's like Dasani is owned by Coca-Cola, so yeah.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. It's like 5 corporations that own the entire world. There's no small business anymore. Everything is owned by one of the 5.
There you go.
Okay. Anyway,
that's the way it is. So we've got two very interesting and very different people on the show tonight, from different parts of the world. We've got Jonathan Duncan, who is everybody's favorite with Cosmos. We love his poetry, we love his music, and what a geek I am for Godzilla. So the last half of the show, we're going to talk to Unite Godzilla fans, who's been on the Big Monster Briefing Room several times, talking about one movie each time. Well, now I'm going to be able to open up the whole spectrum of, hey, let's talk Godzilla. Let's open up the whole bag, and let's educate our viewers, on Godzilla. And because a lot of people today, I was just talking to John about this before the show. A lot of people, they only know the latest incarnation of Godzilla, which is the Americanized version.
Yes.
Which I call the fat Godzilla because he's got big thunder thighs.
The proper term is enormous that I told you before. But everybody, before we came on, I promise, I said, Rodal.
She got on to me about that.
Rodal just got into big trouble, even though he's dead. He doesn't care. But they changed the word fat to enormous in his books. I told him to call Godzilla enormous.
I don't want people. I mean, I'm used to people calling me fat, but I don't want them calling me enormous. It's like, oh, you're not fat. You're just enormous. That just doesn't sound right. Don't do it.
I think it's worse.
Yeah, in school, I didn't like being called, "Hey, fat boy." I wasn't happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with weight issues all my life, and then we come up with a zillion. When I was teaching Chinese kids about this, they only have fat and thin. That's what they have in the language, in the English
Okay.
language, is fat and thin. So I would have kids come up to me, and just go, "You're fat." Go, "What'd you call me?" And it dawned on me that they didn't have all of the words that we have created to
Yeah.
replace the word fat, because it just even sounds bad when it comes out of your mouth. Fat.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't sound right. So we've got husky, we've got robust, big boned. We've
Big
got
bones,
dozens.
yes, that's the thing. Yeah.
We've got dozens. Oh, he's just a tad overweight. We've got like a zillion different ways to say, overweight.
In
And it's
Chinese,
true.
the character for beautiful is a fat sheep because fat used to be considered
Is
really.
that what it is?
Yeah, because fat in ancient China was considered beautiful. You wanted a woman to be fat; she would be very healthy.
Well,
So,
and one of the biggest Hong Kong stars of the millennial,
mhm.
she passed away, I guess, around 2010. Her name was Fei Fei, which is fat. In Hong Kong,
Okay,
fat is
okay,
Fei. So
okay.
Fei Fei, they called her, and she was this comedian actress that was in just like all the movies in the '90s and the early 2000s, and she was very funny, and she was a very nice person to work with, evidently. Yeah, and everybody knew Fei Fei.
Fei Fei, that sounds really cute. Was she Fei Fei? Was she Fei?
She was, that was part of her character.
Hmm.
That's who she was.
Yeah, I
She had
think.
her own TV show and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, where did it come in the Western modern world now where like fat is considered really ugly or undesirable? Like, the Renaissance art in Europe was all people who look, overweight by moderns. It's all just subjective. It's just
Yeah,
what
we
people
have
decide.
Rubenesque
If someone
art.
just decides like this is in this year. You know how they do that? Like green is in this year, red is out. Like they just come up with shit,
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
and
bullshit.
again, it goes back decades. In advertising,
Yeah,
they want
advertising.
beautiful, pretty Ken and Barbie doll people. In
Yeah.
all of this stuff,
Mhm.
and movies too. If you're overweight, you're usually a character role. In a
Right.
movie or a TV show. You're not
Mhm.
you're not the leading man. That you're not Jack Black. I mean, it's
And it's so stupid though
or it's a
because like
comedy.
because beauty is so subjective anyways. Like a lot of people are not attracted to super skinny people. Like just naturally. Like not everybody finds that attractive, but the culture, like you said, advertising and Hollywood,
Mm,
they just pick something and they go with
it's
it.
brainwashing.
It's brainwashing. It totally is. Look at like Marilyn Monroe even, or look at
Yeah,
Jane. What was her name? The one who looked like Marilyn Monroe, but she was like the knockoff
Jane
Jane
Mansfield.
Mansfield.
Jan
She was
Mansfield.
even bigger. Yeah, she was even bigger.
Yeah.
And like that's gosh, who could be more beautiful than those women? It's just
Sophia
bizarre.
Loren.
Yeah, Sophia
Gina
Sophia Loren.
Lollobrigida.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see, like not everything has to be Twiggy, guys. Not everything has to be Twiggy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're not going to call. I think Gregory Gannon said Fatzilla or something. I'm trying to go up. There's some great Fat Highzilla. Fat
Perfect.
Highzilla. Yeah, there you go. Here it is
Perfect.
again.
No, I
Or
remember when I first saw the
Maria.
2014 movie, the few scenes at the end where you could actually see Godzilla, it wasn't too dark.
Right.
And I'm probably going to get smacked from United Godzilla fans for saying that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he was really huge around the midsection and the legs. And I was like,
Mhm.
what happened to him? What happened?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Yeah, he was just kind of a very big Godzilla around the midsection and bottom.
Well, maybe he had a different diet, or maybe he had there could be Millie Hazard would know. She's a scientist in the
Different
zoologist.
diet.
She
Yeah,
would
he
be
eats a lot
able
more giant
to,
fish.
yeah, she would know exactly why that is. All right. Well, we do have, one of our fans sent us. I don't know if you want me to. His name is Roland Pruitt. Some people know him.
Okay.
He paints. He's kind of
Yeah, I know
nerdy
Roland
too,
very
but
well. He keeps asking to come on the show.
he always wants to come on the show. And
He
this
was
is,
just
I
on
think,
Sandy's show too, not
yeah,
long ago.
yeah. Well, he's very engaging. I mean, I like him, but he has something. We have
He
something.
is likable.
He's very, very affable and friendly and adorable. I think he's adorable. So anyways, you want to see him? I think you want to see him. Here you go.
Oh, he's got a video. You got a video?
Hi, this is Roland Pruitt, kaiju artist extraordinaire. I just want to say that I'm so happy that It's Casual is back. I still want to be a guest. And I'm so happy that you got Unite Godzilla fans to do the show. He rocks. He is so cool, man. So I really, really am excited to hear what he's going to have to say on the show. Yeah, my Mothra nubs are hard.
He always
Mothra nubs.
I can't unsee or unhear that. That's gonna be in my consciousness till I die. That's it.
That's for the Mothra eyes.
Yeah. And
Nubs.
Sandy D said his mom is always bugging me to have him on the show.
She liked him.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, well we've kept our guests waiting quite a bit, so let's go ahead and bring up John Duncan to enjoy the fun with us.
Hello, John.
There he is.
Great to see
There
you
he
guys.
is. You were worried you wouldn't be able to get on the show.
I was, mate. Like I
Today.
woke up, and a lot of people will not be surprised at this by any stretch of the imagination. I woke up after a good sleep. I finally had a good sleep. Woke up and I logged into Facebook, and like I've just got these bans, like restrictions slapped all over my account this morning. Like you can't call anyone, you can't post this. Fuck, man. Like, and I was just like panic. I'm thinking, oh no, Rory, I've just wrecked this show. Anyway,
No, man. We only had one problem with this before, and that was when we were Sandy was doing a show, and she was supposed to do the StreamYard for the show, and her account was blocked that day.
Yeah.
But since you're not doing the StreamYard, Renee is, and her account, I mean, she's like white bread. You know, she doesn't do anything that pisses off Facebook.
I am definitely. I'm a fucking.
He keeps
lawyer.
it clean.
Shit wrong. I don't even get speeding tickets or parking tickets. I am stinky.
So
yeah,
I knew we'd be okay.
I've been riding on everyone's coattails for the last, month. Like just, asking people, oh, gang, like if you're in a group, I'm actually can't comment. So can would you just mind streaming off your own page just so I can actually participate? And yeah, people have been awesome, but yeah, it really is becoming difficult to stick around here at the moment.
What is it that is offending Facebook?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
I made the mistake of making a joke about tying somebody down with zip ties to a chair and putting tape over their mouth.
Don't even say it.
It was a joke, but it was a famous person, and yeah, I got a slap on the wrist and they said, for a week you're gonna have a hard time doing this and this and this. And I'm like,
right.
So I decided not to do any more political stuff on my page to keep it safe.
Yeah, I think what happened, what they informed me this morning was like there was one comment I made. It was in Julio's one of Julio's lives, like where he did this epic. You guys probably know he did this like 7.5 hour epic stream.
I know, I heard about that.
Right? Yeah,
I haven't gone back to see it yet, but
it was brilliant. It was brilliant. But of course, he plays a lot of mountain goats, and when he starts playing mountain goats, I'm a mountain goats total tragic, and so I'm just typing all the lyrics as he's singing them. And one of the lines in the song, which they quoted to me as the reason for my most recent restrictions, was that throw my better self overboard, shoot him when he comes up for air. And that's the one that's
a restriction.
Yeah.
That's a restriction.
Yeah.
I've got to get smarter.
Yeah,
I've got to get smarter.
You're talking about doing harm to somebody else, even if you're just quoting some lines from something.
Yeah, it's like a lyric in a song, man. But yeah,
it sends up a red flag.
I don't care. Yeah. So I've got to get smarter. But anyway, I'm
here. Just tell them you were quoting lyrics from the song, and they'll check into it and they'll see, and then they'll take the restriction off.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, eventually.
Because I got a restriction for something like that, and I said no, you don't understand. What I was doing was I was telling them about this, and then they checked it and they were like, oh okay. And
right, so you actually got a human to deal with.
Well, you got to wait for an answer, for a couple of days. But yeah, you just write in. They give you the option to fight it,
Well,
to
I've been
tell them
doing
what
that.
really happened?
I've been doing that, brother. I've been doing that, man. Like, yeah, for a month, and I've not had a reply, nor
Oh, wow.
until last night, nor a reason for actually keeping getting shafted. But yeah, as I say, I've got to get smarter.
So
Not be so spontaneous. I'm so spontaneous when I'm, you know, in the like listening to someone streaming, because I get excited and it's and I just feel all the vibe and I just type away and
some good poetry is going to come out of this. I can tell.
Yeah. Every cloud, right? Every cloud, mate.
What hurts us or tries to kill us makes us stronger, right?
Yeah, there you go. Nietzsche. That's a Nietzsche quote there.
Speaking of your poetry, you told me that you might be able to do some of your poetry on the show tonight.
Oh, sure,
today.
mate. Yeah,
I should.
Absolutely.
What time is it there in Australia?
It is 10:15 in the morning on Wednesday.
Okay, 10:15. Okay, we thought it was going to be later. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad that we figured that out an hour before showtime.
We're thinking 11. I was just assuming
we're a little off.
We got it.
Well, luckily, we did a test about an hour before show because you were worried, and that's when I was able to remind you, hey, it's going to be in an hour.
I'm glad you did, mate.
So we popped in and saw him and got it all set.
I would have still been out in the backyard scratching myself or something like that.
And again, you're very well lit. You were worried that you wouldn't be well lit when you came into the show.
Yeah.
You look the set behind you looks amazing. You look good. You're well lit. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're in Australia, but you're not just. What part of Australia are you in?
I'm in Tasmania, Renee, which is like the little island state just at the bottom of the mainland continent. Yeah, we're just a small island.
And you have very unique like animals there and flora there, right? And it's, if you look on the map,
Tasmanian devil.
I've always wanted to visit, but it's unique even to Australia, right? I mean, if you look at a map, it's like Antarctica's here and y'all are up here. It's like so weird. What is your climate like? And then what kind of animals and flowers and stuff do you guys have that are unique to your area?
Well, climate-wise, very temperate climate, you know, like, so you guys get all the extremes, don't you? Like you get crazy snow, ice cold winters and super hot in the summer. Excuse me, but
in Florida
down here it's much more even. Like, so it probably snows where I live here maybe once every 2 years, and down towards sea level. Very, very rare thing. Very rare thing. I do have a film that I took a couple of years ago of the last snow we had here, and it was just like, you know, everyone's running outside to see because it's such a novelty. You know, like it's just something that happens very often.
Play in the snow.
But like our hottest summer day here in Tassie would be around about 40 Celsius. So that's just a bit over 100 Fahrenheit for you guys. So that would happen just a handful of times each summer. Winter time, coldest we get down to overnight is around the 1 or 2 or 3 Celsius. So it doesn't, almost never freezes. Really, it's a lovely climate. Like Tasmania always it gets pilloried and laughed at by the people on the mainland because we're like, you know, a bit isolated and, you know, we're apparently quite backward down here, you know, like we're, you know, a day ahead and 20 years behind sort of thing.
Well, okay. And where is New Zealand in relation to that?
Same latitude.
As Tasmania?
Next door, yeah, just across
they're your next door neighbors.
Yep, next door neighbors.
And they have some beautiful country there because of the climate is so nice.
Right.
I mean,
and they also get earthquakes, which thankfully we don't get. They just on that, like, you know, the plates, the way the plates are aligned. New Zealand is like earthquake territory. They get a lot of them there.
Oh man, I didn't know that. I know they got some beautiful mountains there,
which several lives were lost to. Yeah, gorgeous country though, mate. Like, and very similar. Like we have rainforest here, similar sorts of landscape to what New Zealand has. And also, like I've been all around Australia, the most beautiful beaches in the country, right here.
Tasmania.
Yep. East coast of Tasmania and the north coast.
Oh, you make me want to go there now.
Just wide, white, sandy beaches, just beautiful, and great surf. Like it's a big wave surfer kind of area.
Oh, Sandy
down
D
the
would
south,
love that.
down the southeast tip, especially, and right up on the northwest tip at Marrowa. Huge, huge swells at the right time of year, through the winter.
Gregory Gannon wanted to know about the spiders. I had to ask that. Sorry. What are the spiders like?
We don't have anything like your tarantulas, which, like, ever since I saw a film when I was a kid, just have terrified me for the rest of my life. Our closest thing to a tarantula is a huntsman, which are fucking huge. Like, I always remember one night, me and my wife and my son were like in the kitchen, and we saw this huntsman up on the wall, and like we all like running around hugging each other and trying to hide behind each other's backsides, trying to what do we do now, guys? What the fuck do we do? And this poor huntsman, like, they're not even aggressive, right? He just sits hanging out. And like, Dad, grab the broomstick, grab the broom handle. And so we spent the next half an hour in absolute terror with this totally harmless big spider.
That's when you have to get a new house.
That's when you have to just leave the whole country.
Right. But one thing
it's his house now.
Yep, that's his house.
Every snake here is deadly. That's one
thing. Oh, man.
That's very
that's
scary.
reason for me not to go.
Yeah, every snake here is deadly. So you like it, I love bushwalking. I love my walks, but through the summer, wear gumboots.
Yeah,
wear 2 pairs of gumboots because you never know when you're going to come across one, and if you get bitten by a tiger snake down here, it's like you got to get to hospital fucking quick.
Oh wow.
We got a lot of bad ones here in Florida. We got moccasins and cottonmouths and rattlesnakes and whatnot. So I mean, I've seen my fair share of nasty, like, deadly snakes here. Copperheads. So again, a lot of people hear about the big spiders in Australia, but you don't really hear about the spiders in Tasmania. Platypus, are those indigenous to the area?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All over the place. Gorgeous looking things. Just beautiful.
They're cute.
Yep.
Greg Gannon says, I only have evil squirrels in New Jersey.
Don't get me started, Cannon. Don't get me started, bro.
Mosquitoes. We all have our mosquitoes. All right. Well, that's educational. Thank you for clearing us up on all that. Again, we do make the mistake of thinking you're in Australia. It's Tasmania. It's different, and apologize for that. I've done it. I did it today.
Part of the same country, but we are different. We're a bit different down here. But I live.
It's like Taiwan and China. It's the same, but it's different. But it's the same.
Tastes a little bit like chicken. Mate.
All right. So we talked about your poetry earlier. Let's hear some poetry.
Yeah, sure, man. Sure. Okay. Well, I'll read you this one. This is a poem called December 4, 2021, and I wrote this. My mother passed in September 2021, and in the wake of Mum taking leave, I spent some time in a rehab facility, just to deal with some addictive issues I have and continue to have going on, and for depression and anxiety, which, I mean, I guess after Mum died, things came to a real head, and I was referred, like maybe you call it committed. I'm not sure if that's exactly right, but this poem came from time in that hospital, December 4, 2021. High skies, broad horizons of December, longer days, less moon. Jesus H, it's light before 6 a.m. Whatever happened to sleep-ins? The sun reaches in through my window, precise as a hunter on day one of duck season. Cheekily tickles my nostrils as if he was someone I was in love with. And somehow it's summer again, just as I was starting to get used to spring. Time and tide wait for no man, star. But I never asked them to wait for me. Yesterday, it was still November. I was practicing my lines, even as the lawn was turning brittle, wheat brown. It'll be almost white come February. No doubt there'll be more salt in my beard, and yet the grass keeps coming back, bravely or stupidly. The jury's still out on that one. I'm like an actor who, from the dawn of time, finds himself living the same old symptoms every 3 months. I wonder how many more seasons I'll have to face. How many leaves must I paste back onto bare branches? And there you go. Why do these sad images turn up just when everything was going so well? Blink twice and it'll be autumn. And yeah, there you go. And you go with it. Or whatever part of yourself you deem dispensable. Is that a trick question? Here I come. Yeah, summer. You didn't think I had the balls? Bring on your sunburn. Bring on your sweat. I'll go another round with you. Yeah.
Wow.
That's that one.
That's very powerful. You know, the sign of a really good poet is that they can perform their poetry and make you feel it with them. And wow, that was quite a performance. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, thanks, Rory. I mean, I've always lacked confidence in everything, frankly, but especially singing and reciting poetry. It's not something that comes natural to me. It's something that I'm learning as I go. I think trying, the words, you feel the words in a certain way.
Yeah.
But it's hard, very difficult for me when I write to visualize how they will sound spoken, recited, right? And that's something that I'm trying to get used to and just embrace it.
Well, again, I was very impressed with what you just did there. So, I mean, I was feeling it with you. So that's good. I'm an actor who's had to read other people's poetry before, and try to glean from it what feeling I could to get it to the audience. And yeah, you just did a fantastic job with that. So that's always good. It's always good that you can perform your own stuff and make the audience feel it with you.
I appreciate it, mate. Thanks.
Would you like to do another?
I would love to.
Thank you.
This is another one written similar time. I won't go into all that now. How I stumbled into poetry, it wasn't by design at all. It was out of a need. It was a compulsion sort of thing when I first started writing poetry, and that was back in mid 2014. After having a career writing a lot, but certainly not in this sort of not in this space. Another poem from around the time when I lost Mum, And that was a very fertile period for me writing, and a very barren time for me emotionally. And yeah, this is called I Think I Won't Sing Anymore Just Now. I think I won't sing anymore just now. The sparrows do it well enough. Larks don't make too bad a fist of it either. The sun was up early this morning, before the alarm, the passage of a life. By early afternoon, he began to shy away. The clouds gathered like mourners, and the rain came. Slowly at first, a misty sort of drizzle that wouldn't open a bud or even pretend to raise a seed. If you're going to do it, then at least do it properly. I remember her saying that to me when I started writing songs and gave up in middle age. That was around 4 p.m. before the sun had set, and I'd lost sight of him by then. Songs are for people with something to sing. The rain falls tonight, heavy as turds. The sewerage of our lives we spent building, waiting for morning, only to pass through us. And here we are, next to the fire, fighting for relevance. The sparrows and larks have gone quiet. A song plays on the radio I don't recognise. She twitches in her final sleep like a dancer, wishing the sun had better timing, though without the strength to question the why or the where or the how. No. I think I won't sing anymore just now.
Yeah, another very powerful one. Wow. Again,
Yeah, I
thank you
wrote
for
a lot
sharing
of
those
poems
with us.
through 2021, mate, and it
Yeah,
always seems to be the hard times, the sad times that really get me writing more than I normally would.
mhm.
I find it difficult to write. I mean, songwriting's a different beast, sort of altogether, and it's not sort of, in my experience, it's not so contingent on how you're feeling inside. Poetry, though, I find I really only feel the urge to write when things are tough, and that's when
Yeah.
So.
But that could change. You know, you could write some stuff later on down the line, from happy memories and
I
moments.
might have written like 1 or 2 happy ones. You know,
Who's to say it won't happen more? You know,
Mm.
your life is getting better. You've got a lot of new friends now, so you're
It's true.
dealing better with your mother's passing, I'm sure. It gets a little easier every year. I know it's tough in the beginning and early on, and you've only had a couple of years, a year and a half, but yeah, it does get a little easier every year. You know,
Well,
the
I hope
memories
that's the
get
case,
better.
mate.
And
It really doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't feel like it yet.
yeah,
But you know, I'm hoping for better days ahead, brother.
well, it'll happen. It'll happen. I'm going to invite you to stay for our next guest, so we can educate you about Godzilla.
Great.
And thank you again for sharing your poetry with us. Our next guest is he in the green room?
Oh, he's there. He's ready to go.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead and bring up Unite Godzilla fans.
Howdy, 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 howdy.
Yeah, and he's a little dark. We talked about this earlier.
But, you know, it gets dark here in Jersey pretty quickly. So
Jonathan Phipps with a beard.
Hey, man, I was going to say same thing, man. Hold on, slightly. There you go, brother.
There we go. Now we can see you better.
The beard. I just want to really quick before we continue. What's your name? John, as a, I call myself an ex-musician. I've done all the band stuff. I was a vocalist for a lot of metal bands in my heyday. And I will say, I didn't ask to be hurt after work by your words, man. Like I didn't expect to come on the show and hear some powerful words. And as a vocalist as well, I want to say you're heard, man, and your pain is heard.
It makes you feel it.
You know, dude, I wanted to shed a tear. I was already like thinking about how I would say these things, and if I was in a band, and how much anger was coming out of my mouth. I fear that loss when it comes down to it. I fear that loss so much, and everyone talks about, you know, it gets better with time and all that. And I'm like, there's no way I can say it gets better with time. But John, I want to thank you for allowing us to hear your words, allowing us to hear your pain, and hopefully that sharing this type of stuff might have made it a little more easier just for a few minutes, because as a vocalist, my goal was to always, even to have the audience feel what I was feeling, but I was able to get out my demons. And I hope at least for those 10 minutes that you were talking your poetry, I hope 10 minutes of your demons went out the window for you, bro. Seriously. Thank you for that.
Oh, thanks so much, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's always been for me like what music is, what songwriting is, performance, writing poetry. It's therapy, right? It's a self-therapy thing. Really.
It's expression. Yeah.
And when and it's what to hear you say that, man, means a lot, because, you know, sometimes you feel like you're whistling in the dark, like when you're writing a song or you know, performing a song, and writing a poem. You feel like you're just this self-indulgent fuck who's just like just caught up in themselves so much. And then someone will say, hey, man, that fucking connected, right? And that's where the rubber hits the road, and that makes it feel worthwhile, you know? So thank you, brother.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. On a much lighter note, what were we talking about today, my good friend? What we got?
Well, you know, usually when you're on the Big Monster Briefing Room, you're talking about one Godzilla movie. So it's time to educate. It's time to open up the bag and tell everybody how this all got started. This is one of the longest running movie franchises of all time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It started in 1954 with the original Godzilla, as we call it here in America. They had to add Raymond Burr to sell it here. Godzilla is attacking the city. So we got that. But tell us why this movie really grabbed people at that time. It started a trend. It started all kinds of movies about giant monsters came out after that one.
You know, I think a lot of it in the end kind of was everyone's own perception of what Godzilla was, or I should say is. You know, we have legendary films and they kind of have their own message, but you know, 54 was all about metaphors.
Yes.
Godzilla is the metaphor of the atomic bomb. You can't do anything about it. It's here to destroy life, end it, make it cease to exist. It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care how old you are. You're going to die no matter what. And I think at that time, and how horrible it must have been, this is what the people thought. This resonates with those people, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna die, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I think it was almost a horror movie for those people. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Just alone that thought, like if you look at a lot of history books about that incident, you have shadows burnt into the walls of buildings from these people from the blast alone. And then when you think about Godzilla's atomic blast, how do you not think about something like that? So really hold the hard emotions, and let's talk about hard emotions, John, with your poetry. It pulls you in and it sucks you in and makes you want to dive deeper into what this is all about. And I think that was that suction cup that grabbed us. I know for me personally, now I might get flack for this from the community, but I've expressed this plenty of times. 54 is probably one of my least favorite films. Why? Because it's that sad and it's that depressing. I don't want to sit through a Godzilla film and be like, I want to cry. I want to just whatever with it. I want to cheer on my favorite anti-hero.
Right.
So it's one of my least favorite movies, and honestly, I probably watched it about 5 times in my living era here.
Yeah. Well, in the first 4 movies, he is the villain. He is evil. He is unstoppable. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then if you go along the lines, you have a lot of the reboot movies still showing that he is this unstoppable force. He is the atomic bomb. So, that really grasped the audience. And then, you had 55 come around, which wasn't all that great. And then, of course, you get into 62 of Godzilla versus King Kong. So, now the only thing I will say,
which you'll be doing this Thursday on the
sir.
General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing Room, the Big Monster Briefing Room with Major Hazard. And
we will be 100% discussing about that movie, which, the reason why that movie came about was because King Kong came first and was getting a lot of that attention as well. So King Kong came out in 33, I believe.
Well, and he influenced the people from Toho who create these movies.
Yep, and Toho wanted a piece, and I mean they did
IG Tsuburaya said that was one of the film that his father took him to that really made an impression on him, and he was the special effects guru that did all of those early films from the quote Showa series, the early Godzilla films, the 50s and 60s.
Yes, sir.
And he also is responsible for Ultraman, one of the longest running Japanese TV hero shows.
Mm-hmm. Which the new movie, fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet,
I have not.
I absolutely loved it.
It's online?
Not yet. I got to see it in theaters. But it was. I'll definitely let you know when it's online for sure, because I'm waiting for it too, because I want to see it again. Phenomenal movie. It's actually getting a Blu-ray release. I think Mill Creek is doing it. They do a lot of the Ultraman series and shows and whatnot, so it's really good that they're finally getting on top of that. But 54 Raymond Burr.
They saw the potential of it. They re-released it in 56 in America with Raymond Burr added to it.
Yep.
They did the same thing with the second movie, Godzilla Returns, or Godzilla Raids Again, and it became Gigantus the Fire Monster.
Right. They wanted to keep that piece of the Godzilla history, and then it wasn't America really didn't get a slice of that Godzilla pie until, aside from being put out in America, there weren't you didn't get a transfer over to an American director until 1985, which brought back Raymond Burr, which I thought he did a phenomenal job with that. He's a spooky old man. He really played great. He played a great part. Let me tell you, man. Like, that man gave me the heebie-jeebies in that film. But 54 was the start, was the birth, and it is, as you said, and it is in the Guinness Book of Records as the longest movie-running franchise with, what are we at, 36 films?
I didn't realize that it held the record, but yeah. It's up there like 36 or something, yeah.
Yep, it is the number one longest-running film franchise.
Even more than James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond has what? I don't remember how many movies he has.
Like 28.
But no. 36. And we're counting every movie that's been made. So yeah, Godzilla rules. That's it.
So in 64, he kind of changed the character. They were kind of marketing to kids more. So he became an Earth savior, fighting monsters that were invading Earth from outer space. King Ghidorah, Gigan, that kind of thing. And it got really silly after Ultraman started in the late 60s. They actually were going to end the series with Destroy All Monsters in 68. And it made so much money they decided to do All Monsters Attack, which was Godzilla's revenge over here. And that's just all out kids movie.
Right.
It's just and after that, they were really marketing to the kids. So it wasn't until
was 74, 75, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla and Terror Mechagodzilla. Toho wanted to bring back that brute force, but have it be on the side of humanity, and that's why I like to call Godzilla the anti-hero. You love him, you hate him. There's it's always going to be an in-between sort of thing.
He's destructive.
Exactly. And the reason why Godzilla went to kids is we have to thank the lovely turtle in a half shell, Gamera, because Gamera was more marketed towards kids and was making bank on that. So Toho was like, well, wait a minute. Why is this giant turtle making bank on kids when Godzilla is an icon already? Let's get into it. So that's why Toho went that route. But I think nowadays Godzilla is for everybody.
I really feel that all of that happened because the first Gamera film came out in 65. And Ultraman came out in 66? The first one?
Give or take, yeah.
I think that's really what flipped it, was the Ultraman. When they saw how much money they could make, marketing to kids.
Yeah.
That's when Godzilla started to get, more marketed to kids.
Yeah.
As well. And Gamera came out at the same time, 65. By 66, when they did the second Gamera film with the bats, Gauss, he was all about, he's the friend of all children.
Yep. That's right.
Gamera's the savior of all children. And all those movies had little kids in it that he would save, Yep.
Yeah.
So honestly, you Unite Godzilla fans, how do you feel about Gamera and the Gamera series?
I loved the Showa series. I thought, you bring up the Gaius movie. That movie, along with Barugan, or however you want to say it, I thought were the darkest movies in that franchise. They were terrifying to me. And then as you went on, they got a little sillier. But
there were dark elements in all of them. The kids were going to get their brains eaten in Gamera versus Guiron.
Right.
And in Viras, he lops the heads off of all of his assistants to turn into a giant Viras. So it's pretty violent for a kid, see these decapitations and things. And what they implied.
It was absolutely wild, man. And then, you're getting into like the Heisei series of Gamera, which they found the right element. And the same thing with like the Heisei Godzilla films. They finally found the element of, for Godzilla, it's the anti-hero. For Gamera, it was the, for the kids, but he's the guardian of the universe. He's going to protect us regardless. But also, he's here to fuck shit up. He's a giant turtle. What do you expect?
There's going to be destruction. Cities are going down. If he fights with another monster, cities are going down, and yeah, we don't like that.
No. And then like as it, even though the Heisei series had 3 movies, it progressed quite darker. And then once you got to Revenge of Iris, you had the kids grown up sort of, and with introducing a new one to the picture, and that movie was dark. I thought they went right back to the roots. You had Gamera blowing off his own arm, guts hanging out, bones showing, and all this shit. It was like, okay, what?
But it was the monsters.
Right.
That's how they got away with it. It wasn't people. It was monsters. We talked. You were on the Big Monster Briefing for the Smog Monster, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And we were talking about how different that was. How much darker that was for Godzilla, because I mean, Hydra would pass over and people would just disintegrate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just be goopy skeletons on the ground. It's like, man, that's dark.
So, oh god, you gotta love. But I love Gamera. I'm super stoked that he's coming back on Netflix as an animated series. I'm ready for it. It's going to be a 5-part series. The first episode will have Giles.
I'm making faces because of the last 3 Godzilla anime movies.
Well, then wait. Then you didn't see Godzilla Singular Point yet.
I have not seen it.
Watch it. Watch it. It's good. I loved it. I think it was a redeemer from.
Okay, that's good to hear.
The other stuff. It's very in depth with a lot of science. I had to watch it a few times, certain episodes, but do I get it? No.
They say it's very different.
It is. It's very deep into science. And like I said, do I get it after watching each episode 3 times? Absolutely not. I still have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. But I get
but Jet Jaguar's there.
And Jet Jaguar does an amazing job. He redeems himself from 1973. I will give him that. But fantastic, absolutely amazing. They continue with the Shin Godzilla concept of evolution.
Okay.
They bring in some older monsters as well. So you have a Titanosaurus looking like thing, but it's not. It's actually Godzilla. It's part of the Godzilla bloodline. So it's really cool. And then there's a really awesome post-credit scene at the end of the series, and it just has the community. It had the community in uproar because we were all set for it. I'm not going to tell you. You're not allowed to know just yet.
No spoilers.
No spoilers here. We don't do spoilers here.
I'm going to watch it soon. I am. I've been meaning to watch it. I'm going to watch it soon.
Yeah.
Now, after Godzilla melts down in 1995, after fighting the Destroyer, which sounds very Russian. I don't know why.
It does.
And we suspect that the series will return with Junior becoming the new Godzilla. Then we get the Millennium series, and he looks very different. I like the look. But we have one movie in that set of movies that's very different, and that's was it GMK?
GMK, yeah.
Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah.
All
a different director.
Act or something like that. I think that's what the title is. We just call it GMK. We don't do all that.
Now, I love the fact they brought Baragon back.
Yes.
And I like Baragon in the movie. He was, nasty little tenacious booger.
He was a puppy dog in that film. That's for sure.
I like the fact that when Godzilla goes up against Mothra, it takes seconds for him to evaporate her. Because I always get slapped for this by Godzilla fans. I just think Mothra is just not an effective deterrent to Godzilla. He just uses his breath on her and she would vaporize. That would be the way it would be to me. Yeah. So I like that. But it's a very different take on Godzilla.
Yeah.
He's very evil in that. The scene where the woman is in the hospital comes to mind, where his tail, she thinks he's passed, and all of a sudden his tail takes down the hospital.
I love it, dude. It's so good. Now, funny thing about that movie was, what was it? So, Ghidorah wasn't supposed to be in it. It's the
only movie where Ghidorah is actually a hero, isn't it?
Right. But what it was supposed to be Anguirus, Varan, and Baragon.
Okay.
As the start of it all. But then they were like, well, a lot of these monsters are kind of weak. And they scrapped it. And then came in Mothra and Ghidorah, and they kept Baragon in there. Yeah, so Godzilla is the spirit of the dead. And once again, metaphors up the ass for Toho, and I love Toho for it. That
Mothra did her best.
fans
are already getting upset with me anytime I bust on Mothra.
The only time Mothra was ever good was in '92. That's it. Other than that, even you take 2019. Mothra, blah. Don't get me started.
Mothra stands for sacrifice.
Yeah, no kidding. But
I just had to show my avatar here to stick up for Mothra. I just had to show Mothra. I had to just defend
she's a Mothra
her.
lover.
I love Mothra. It was a wonderful, wonderful thing. Anyway.
I mean, I love the Mothra solo movies. I think they were better than her in Godzilla movies. I think she was treated with more respect. Even though she gets the shit kicked out of her too in those movies, but she doesn't like explode into like nothing.
Just vaporize.
Right. So Toho had a little more respect for the Queen of the Monsters, as the community calls her.
Well, and actually, I saw the scene that you showed today on Instagram about the king. Which King Ghidorah was?
So that was from Mothra's third solo movie, and that's called Grand King Ghidorah.
Grand King Ghidorah.
Grand. This is the big head honcho over here. You're not getting anything grander than this motherfucker.
This is the biggest, baddest King Ghidorah, and guess what, Mothra? You're gonna have to fight it.
And what's
your own.
What's worse about this Ghidorah was that one of his powers was taking all the children in this sphere and killing them by sucking the soul out of them.
Then that's kind of dark.
There you go.
For a movie marketed to kids.
Right.
Daddy, don't let King Ghidorah take my soul.
I loved it. Well, I mean, you had her first movie with another cousin of Ghidorah who was Death Ghidorah, or Death Ghidorah, as if you say.
Ghidorah,
yeah. And his job was to suck the life out of every plant and living being on Earth.
Right.
That was fun.
But she had to go back in time to battle that one, right?
That Grand King Ghidorah was back in time.
John is laughing through this whole thing. He's like, "Oh my god, these guys know too much about this stuff."
Like these older men are just talking about monsters and shit. I don't know how I feel about this.
I didn't even know she had 3 movies in the late 90s.
I want to know, John Duncan, what happened in Australia and Tasmania with all of these big in mind? It's like geographically you're so close to Japan that you would be more into it. But I mean, is it as marketed over there as it is over here? Are you immersed? Do you get what all the things they're talking about, or is this a lot of new stuff for you?
No, look, Renee, I am sitting firmly at the feet of the gurus here and just taking it all in. Like, this is education. This is education to me, sis. Right? But I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a massive, manga sort of culture here, and like anime stuff. It's huge. My son, all their mates into it. I never really. No, Godzilla is a bit foreign to me.
So you don't have a Godzilla memory? You don't have like a sort of Godzilla memory?
Armageddon. It sounds like Armageddon every film, from what I've heard.
He's only seen the bad ones.
I like the one with Bryan Cranston in it, which I know is like really recent, but I'm just like a huge Breaking Bad fan, so I just love it.
That's where the new generation started. Yeah. In 2014, the Americanized Godzilla.
But you like that stuff. I mean, that's not the cool,
and again, the kids today, they know Godzilla because of these movies.
Yeah.
He just fought King Kong, and there was Godzilla, King of the Monsters before that, where he was fighting King Ghidorah, and Mothra was there, and Rodan was there. So now it looks like the next one is going to be more King Kong oriented, and there's probably going to be less of the Toho monsters in it. I keep hoping they're going to bring somebody like Gigan or the smog monster Hedorah, or maybe even Biollante into it, but it's probably just going to be war bats and skull crawlers and the original stuff that they created here, which I'm not a big fan of.
It's a tough call. A lot of the sources that I have, excuse me, are kind of going back and forth. So right now, the quote unquote title is Godzilla and Kong, and they are saying that Godzilla will be in the movie, but most likely Kong will have more of a presence in the film. Now that isn't going to say that Godzilla won't make an appearance. We have a lot of awesome things coming out this year and next year. We have Godzilla and Kong. We have the Monsterverse series that'll be on Apple TV. We have the Kong animated series that will be on Netflix. We have the Gamera anime coming out. So we got a lot of things going on. Now, of course, the big excitement is the next Toho Godzilla film, which we have all got word that it will be a standalone film. So there will be no new kaiju presence. We're all waiting to see what design is going to be, what will it look like.
Mm-hmm.
There are some hopes. I got a few hopes, and I'm 50-50 on what it'll be. But, we'll see. We got to wait and find out. I think.
And there's another thing that happened. In 2016, Toho decided to make another Godzilla movie, even though they basically gave America the rights to Godzilla. And they made what's called Shin Godzilla, which is probably way different from any other Godzilla that's ever been made, because it's in a lot of ways, it's kind of a comedy about bureaucracy and what happens when the government has to face something like this.
Right. They do poke fun at the, but once again, Shin Godzilla was also a big metaphor for the tsunamis that were happening over at the time, the earthquakes, starvation of its people, and what the government was doing to help out. And basically, like you said, poking fun at its government, because they didn't have a friggin' clue of how to deal with anything that had happened. But once again, that movie did return Godzilla back to what he stood for, was an entity, a force that just kept on moving. You're not stopping it. And every time you tried to, you pissed it the fuck off. And,
exactly.
We then had that glorious scene of his newly done atomic breath. His jaw splits into two. You have purple lights coming out of his dorsals when they're normally red or blue or anything like that. And the beam comes out of his mouth. And and then all of a sudden you get it out of his dorsal fins, and then you get it out of his tail, and that was a major game changer. Even I was like, I shit the bed. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing
He's
here?
destroying everything around him. It's like, okay, let's not shoot missiles at him. He's going to do this again.
No.
There was this light coming out of all orifices.
And for anyone who enjoys Shin Godzilla, I'm going to tell you a little tidbit about it. So, one of the many complaints was Godzilla doesn't roar a lot, right? His what's the word? I'm having a brain fart. Whatever. The only reason why he roared in the film was because he was in pain.
Yeah.
So now if you think about all the times he roars, like when he evolves, when the bomb goes on his back, when the buildings fall out, he roars because he's hurting.
Yeah.
Brilliant script.
Yeah, I mean, the fans are really split about that film. I mean, you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah,
and I for one, really enjoyed it. I really liked it.
It's honestly,
it was different.
It's my top second movie. Top 3, that's my number 2. I will watch that movie. I will not skip a fucking beat of that movie at all. It's a solid movie.
So, and there was talks that there might be another Shin Godzilla movie, right?
It was left on a cliffhanger.
Okay.
Now, I recently learned that Anno, the director, had a whole entire script for part 2. Toho said, nope, we're not doing it. No, we're done. Leave it on a cliffhanger. If we want to come back to it, we will. If we don't, oh well.
Maybe 10 years.
Maybe. So, this next film, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it comes out this year, at the end of the year, I want to say. So, and we haven't heard any word of it yet. We do have a director name, and of course, I suck with names, so I'm not going to say it because I don't even know it. And we're just waiting to see what we got right now. All we have is this big G. That's it.
All right.
I'm not sure when marketing will start, but I am stoked for it. That's for sure.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for coming and educating us about what's happening with Godzilla and giving us a brief timeline of different Godzilla movies, throughout the ages. Again, there's a Showa series early on, the Godzilla movies from the 50s into the mid 70s. Then there's the Heisei.
Heisei, whatever you want to say, dude.
Which are the 90s, 89 to 95. And then they decided to take a break again. Or no,
84.
85. I'm sorry. Godzilla Returns. That's what started it. That's right. 89 was Biollante and then King Ghidorah.
Even though 84 was considered Showa, but then with the timeline, they moved it right to Heisei. Very interesting.
Okay. And then the Millennial films, and now what I call the Monarch films is called the Monsterverse.
Right. Well, you also have the Toho, which was dubbed the Riwa, which is new in Japanese.
Okay.
So I might be butchering it. I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat can say it better than me, but I call it the Riwa era of Godzilla, and that's where we're at now. And then yes, we have the legendary era as well. So it's
legendary, the legendary films. Okay, well, we're looking forward to seeing you on the Big Monster Briefing Room on Thursday for King Kong versus Godzilla, the original, the one and the only, not the one, the only, the original, the 1963 version.
Yes, sir.
And we're doing the American version. The John Beck version, which I very rarely do I like the American version more than the Japanese version, but with John Beck's King Kong versus Godzilla, I like that one more.
They did a good job.
He did a good job with that. So I'm looking forward to that with you. And Renee, thank you for making this show, go off spotless. John, thank you so much for joining us, telling us about Tasmania, which is what we really needed to learn about where you're from.
We have a question that was asked about your tattoo, John Duncan, and about the story behind the ukulele tattoo and on your knuckles. There's a story behind it. So what is the story behind it?
Well, briefly, I had my first trip overseas in early 2014, and it was with a group of mates of mine from America, and we all went to Maui. We all went to Maui, man, and it was just fucking awesome. And we spent 3 weeks down in Hana, and just, you know, did what you do: drank, swam, looked around. It was just amazing. That Hana Highway, by the way, like you think those Pakistan hills are dangerous, man. Going down a Hana Highway, like with someone driving too fast, that's enough to put the fear of God into you. But anyway, it was just the most beautiful place, and I'll never forget it. And so like on the last day, after playing uke with all these beautiful people, singing songs, we had like 2 hours up our sleeve at the end. And so I just went to the parlor and got that done. Took about maybe an hour, I suppose, not quite. And it just felt like the right way to finish off a trip like that. And I don't regret it for a second, because I love playing uke.
Yeah.
Because you were doing Maui Wowie.
Don't too much information, Rory. Too much information.
And man, that's when you do Maui Wowie.
Yeah, that's the key to life, man. Doing that Maui Wowie. That's what it's all about, man. Love it.
Yep.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming on the show. We'll see you both again real soon, I know. And thank you, Renee. Much love to you for making this show so great. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.